morning.
Here we are. Hello.
Salamat Pagi.
And
Salamat Pagi.
And that's Malay for
good morning.
Good morning. I looked up some helpful phrases in Malay. And here's one that I'm sure you'll use today.
Okay.
Hovercraft saya penyan dengan belut.
I mean, get me a beer?
No. My hovercraft is full of eels.
Oh, that is a good one.
So, commit that one to memory.
Yeah.
It really was on here.
That's a common phrase. That sounds like a movie, like eels on an airplane.
I know. So, yeah, who's accounting for the internet? But here, we spent the last 2 days in Malaysia.
Yes.
So we're all done with Malaysia. Check. And we're here to tell you all about it. So.
Well, I wouldn't quite check it off yet. We'll talk about that later in the show, but I like the last island we were at.
Yes, the last island was very
wonderful.
Nice. Very
yes,
nice.
Indeed.
Yes.
So, where do you want to start first?
Well, since we saw you last, we left Singapore on our way to Malaysia. Our first stop in Malaysia was in Penang, and very much a city.
Oh, very much a city, yes.
We docked, which we always love docking rather than tendering in. Tendering is a bit of a nightmare, but we docked. We were able to get off, and I was very excited because on our tour we had a good bus.
Oh, we did. What was so good about it?
Well,
it
had footrests.
It did have footrests. Yeah, we're getting really picky about our tour buses.
But it's just and the seats were so comfortable.
They were a little wider,
and they had good lumbar support.
And carpeting on the ceiling.
Carpeting on the ceiling.
The whole bus was carpeted everywhere.
It was quite the party atmosphere.
Fancy curtains. Oh.
The only problem was we weren't on the bus that long.
No. It was a shorter ride.
Yeah, maybe half hour to our first destination.
Yep.
But it was lovely.
Again, that's a half an hour of traffic driving.
Not as bad.
Wasn't as bad as some of the places.
Right.
But nonetheless, it was still a lot of little traffic on the road. And we always like to report it's just hot as can be.
Hot as 80s.
Still. So the real field temperatures have been in the hundreds because we're hovering right at the equator.
Yeah.
And there's no relief.
Yeah.
The humidity's constant. Every now and then you'll get a breeze. You think you feel better.
Yeah.
But I guess the cool thing was we went halfway up a mountain on our first stop. It wasn't quite as cool, but it was a cool Buddhist temple we visited.
It was a cool Buddhist temple. What was the name of it? Do we know?
Yes.
We'll look it up.
We'll put it in the notes.
Sure. The first thing you hit, though, on the way was these Buddhists had a special connection with tortoises.
Yes.
So they had a whole big pool full of little tortoises, every shape and size. Very cool to watch.
I thought so.
Our guide walked right past them very fast. Barely had a chance to enjoy them.
I know.
Yes.
I mean, there were so many, you could just see them swimming around. And when you walk by, they'd poke their heads up out of the water a little bit and look at you.
Are you going to feed me?
Exactly. So, anyway, the nickname for the temple was the Temple of 10,000 Buddhas.
That's the one that you were talking about.
Yes, I was confused.
Yeah.
Last episode. So, errata, we are now correcting.
Yes.
Our information. So today was the 10,000 Buddhas.
It was quite the complex.
It was.
It had a huge pagoda. It had a very large, your goddess of mercy.
Well, she was at the top.
Very, very top.
Very, very top. So the complex was built up a very steep hillside. And so right off the bus, from air conditioning to steaming heat, you had to start walking uphill.
Climbing. Yeah.
And one of the women in the group didn't even make it up the first set of stairs. She says, I can't do this. I'm turning around.
And she sat right there waiting for us.
Yeah.
And said, was it worth it?
And we said, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It really was. So as you went up, you went through a series of smaller temples and buildings, and you kind of came to a plaza where you could wander around through all the different venues. And then cleverly, they hid the escalator, the lift, the incline to the very top of the mountain where the Goddess of Mercy was.
Except we went and paid to go up the pagoda, or
Yes.
see the pagoda, where they had a big bell you could ring.
Yep.
And,
I did that.
yes.
Put in my donation money.
And we had to pay 2 ringgits,
Oh yeah, 2 whole ringgits to get there.
each of us. So that was 6 ringgits, and it's 5 ringgits to $1. So
Yeah.
for 3 of us, it was a smidge bit more than $1.
Yeah,
So I was,
$1.20 or something.
I was glad to contribute that to the fund. They had some nice stalls there too. It wasn't all touristy crap.
No, they had prayer flags. They had little worry stones. They had meditation beads, and they had a great sign there at the cash register. All profits and net proceeds go to the building fund. So I don't
Because
know what
those are
happened.
different.
What's between the two in the
I
middle
know.
that they keep?
They wanted us to
Operating
understand.
expenses.
Yes, they wanted us to understand that.
I got it.
Yes,
But it was very nice.
yes. So we bought a postcard and
I wish I'd have got that worry stone now.
wanted it.
With the little voodoo on it.
I know. I thought it was pretty.
It was obsidian. It was
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Why were we?
I don't know.
It was 80 ringgits. You know, that's real money. That's like
That's not
$12.
I know. Wow. I don't know. I think it was so hot we just weren't thinking right.
Well, we didn't have a whole lot of ringgits with us.
We did not. That's true. Ugh.
But we did manage to spoiler alert, we did manage to spend every ringgit we had. So
We did. We'll
except for
explain
one.
how later.
Yes,
Don't spoil it.
I won't spoil it.
Okay, so the temple was very, very nice.
But then, like you said, we went up the incline.
Yep.
You didn't have to. I think you could walk up there.
You had the option to walk up the road. We
Yeah.
decided to walk down it as opposed to hiking up it.
Now that was 18 ringgits for
Yes,
3 of us.
for
Because
3 of us.
Alabama Linda was with us.
True.
Alabama Terry doesn't like to do big walkie tours. So,
Right.
So
And
yes.
it was the only air-conditioned spot
The
in the
whole
whole
place.
temple was the little incline booth we went up.
Yeah, so we soaked
Otherwise,
that
you
up.
would have roasted in there.
That's true. So 18 ringgits was 3, so it was $1 a piece
Yeah.
to go up to the top.
Just about.
Yeah.
And at the top was a huge 30-meter Buddha called Guan Yin, who is the Goddess of Mercy.
Yes.
And you pray to her to intercede on your behalf of the big guy, the big Buddha. And
They had lots of prayer flags up there, so you could buy your prayer flag for $1.
and your sticks to,
I don't know if it was a ringgit or $1. It kind of looked like it was $1.
yeah.
That's expensive.
Wow, would have been. So we looked at her, and she was, like I said, 30 meters tall, bronze statue. The original was wood, and someone burnt it.
Can you imagine?
Can you imagine that?
There's a special place in hell for people who burn the goddess of
I don't know. You must
Mercy.
come back in the lotus of cockroaches or something.
a worm.
I don't know.
Yeah, a
I
slug.
don't know. Ugh. But anyway, we got to see her, and it was
Yeah,
beautiful. We have
she
a
was
photo
beautiful.
of her.
And the next place we went, we were able to see her from way up on high.
On top of Penang Hill.
Yes, yes. So we
Well, let's go on to that.
as it happens, as hot as it is first thing in the morning, it's even hotter in the afternoon.
Midday, yes.
So we had friends on the same tour, but they went up the hill
Reversed.
first and then visited the temple in the afternoon.
In the sweat bath.
They looked like they were going to melt.
Yeah.
We saw them that afternoon. But so, yes, we got back in the bus. We went to the Penang Hill, which is 800 meters.
So about 2,500 feet above the city. And it was noticeably 10, 15 degrees cooler.
Oh yeah,
Um,
and lots of breezes up there.
Yeah, the wind was blowing nicely.
Yes.
It was
So-
a former lookout point that the British had converted to officers' quarters. So the officers had a little comfier, but they also had a good view of the bay coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So they could spot, for protective purposes.
So there was a Hindu temple up there,
yes,
and a mosque. The mosque was still closed,
yes.
Or we didn't feel welcome to walk in.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of Muslim fellas hanging out right there. I didn't want to do anything to offend them.
They looked like toughs.
I wouldn't say that, but
they were the same guys that were posing for photos at the restaurant later.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize. Well, okay.
You've never seen people doing selfies like this. I mean, they get all glammed up with their glasses. They make sure their hair's perfect, and they come walking down. They're getting filmed, and everyone's talking to them and taking photos. I mean, it looks like some sort of runway shoot.
I wonder.
It was so funny.
Yeah, it's kind of a TikTok thing, I guess.
Yeah, it could be a TikTok thing.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
So we went up the hill. There was
let's talk about the train.
Oh, yeah.
So each car had room for maybe 10 people to sit.
Yeah.
And so we got on promptly, sat down, and then they brought pushers in that just started packing people in. I mean, there was not a square inch of space between people once they finished loading that thing up.
Linda sat on the other side. We couldn't even see her.
Yeah. And that little kid, the top of his head was at the height of the lowest hand hole. And
it was a little bar in the middle.
He bumped his head a couple of times and was crying.
He was really unhappy.
I know.
Yes, we were really crowded in there.
Yes.
We got out at the top, walked around a little bit, visited, saw the sights.
Yeah.
Declined to have our pictures taken with snakes.
Yes. I'm not going to do snake handling.
No. Salmonella, right?
Well, there you go. And we also passed on the Kittyland tour.
Yes.
So, yes, we visited the temples, walked by the mosque, went up and looked at the remaining general officers' quarter up there, which was a stone building, and where the mosque and temple were today used to be other little bungalows for the other officers.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of a little bit the history of the hilltop, but people like to go there just to escape the heat, and that's why it's turned into such a public.
I'm a little awkward here, but making it work.
Are you leaning in to say something?
No, I'm leaning in to be in the picture.
You can always angle the camera. Hold on.
Look at that.
There we go. Amy's back.
We did find a nice restaurant with a very Anglo name. What was it?
David Brown's.
David Brown's.
So it was very much UK-ish.
Oh, okay.
And it is the highest restaurant in Penang.
Okay.
Penang. You say tomato, I say tomato.
The young man that was waiting on us was from Bangladesh.
Yes.
And so he chatted with us a little bit. He liked your camera.
I think he just liked talking to people because he, after he served the other table, he came over and talked with us a good bit. So that was kind of enjoyable.
Maybe he was practicing his English.
I was wondering if that was the case.
Yeah.
He had a relative.
Was quite understandable.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I mean, it had the Bangladesh kind of accent. You might think stereotypical, but no, he was wonderful. He had
much more understandable than some of our tour guys we've had.
Exactly. He had an uncle that lived in New York City for 10 years, driving not one but 2 different taxis.
Wow.
And what else did we learn about him? I guess that was the main thing I found interesting.
Yeah.
So he was looking forward to someday making it to a trip to America. So we tipped him well.
Did we?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to. You don't tip over here because they have the big VAT and stuff. But even the VAT's like $1. It's not like being in the Eurozone where you're paying 25% or something.
Cost of living in Malaysia is pretty low.
Oh. Yeah, but the amenities were great.
And, they have free health care.
Mm-hmm.
So, imagine that. And free schools all the way up to 12th grade.
And if you qualify for technical college, you get assistance with that as well. So, I guess we should mention that it is probably 80% Muslim and 20% Buddhist. Is that about right? In Penang. Or do I have that wrong? Or was it the other way around?
I don't remember.
It was only yesterday.
Day before.
Day before yesterday. Okay. Yeah. All blending together. If it's Tuesday, it must be Belgium.
No, I think yesterday was more Muslim. The day before was more Buddhist.
Okay.
Because that big temple there, that would do it too.
Yeah.
Though we did see every kind of temple. We saw in Penang, I saw mosques, and I saw Hindu temples.
You're correct. The second island we'll talk about shortly
was more Muslim.
80-20 the other way. The main island was Buddhist.
Malaysia, very much. Every island is kind of a different demographic and made up of different people. In Kuala Lumpur, one of our guys told us that it was much more Chinese.
Yes, it was.
And I think our guide yesterday was more Malay.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't,
Great.
I struggle with that to ask those personal questions. So.
Yeah, I mean, if they offer it, it's fine.
Exactly. Yeah.
But she knew everything about all the different
cultures,
ethnic groups.
Yeah.
And gave us insights into them, and so that was kind of fun.
But back to David Brown's.
To David Brown's. We got to get to the dusky leaf monkeys.
So yes, we saw monkeys there. Monkeys like I'd never seen. Their little faces were adorable.
They're called dusky leaf monkeys. They're vegetarians. They eat leaves and things predominantly, but they're black, and they're known for their white spectacles. They have these rings around their eyes and their mouth. I think we might have a photo.
Their faces are so unusual. I've never seen anything like that before. They were adorable. Yeah. However, we were told not to make eye contact with them.
The alpha males.
Oh, okay.
Those were the aggressive ones.
I see. Wow, that stands to reason. They're protecting their
protecting their whatever. Yeah.
Their harem. Yeah.
But they would jump from the trees onto the roof of the restaurant. We could hear them clunking around, and I got some photos of them resting on the ridge of the roof. Mm-hmm. One was kind of stretched out, taking a little nap.
Living the good life.
Exactly.
In the cool, way up in the hills. And, of course, what did we drink when we were at David Brown's?
It's Tiger time.
Tiger time.
Gotta have a Tiger beer.
We've been pretty loyal to this brand.
Well, it's kind of the hometown local brew.
Sure. And Malaysia doesn't have its own beer, we were told.
No.
Yeah. So, the Singaporeans are hedging in on that one.
There you go.
It is good beer, though.
Yeah.
Nice and light, easy drinking, good when you're cold.
Yes.
Goes down fast. Yeah.
So that was from
there.
We walked back down, jammed in the bus again.
Yeah.
I felt really bad because some old people offered to give me their seat because they thought I was older than them.
Yeah, when we got on the little train.
Probably was, but I didn't.
Yeah, they thought you should be sitting.
Yes, I thought that was funny.
Yes.
I think it's the beard, it just adds like wisdom to you or something.
He was joking with his little pet. I wonder where he was from.
I don't know, but once all the other people crowded in,
you couldn't talk to him.
We couldn't talk to him anymore.
Yeah.
That was day one. Back to the ship, a shower, air conditioning.
Trivia.
It was another day in paradise.
Check.
All right, so where were we yesterday?
Yesterday we were in Langkawi. Malaysia.
Which is another second largest island in the Malay chain, was it?
That's it. I never remember that. I think it was a pretty small island.
Yeah, but landmass, it was pretty big. A good chunk of the island is a UNESCO geopark.
I think the entire island is a geopark.
Okay.
Which I hadn't been familiar with that term before. Had you?
Well, we ran into something similar to that, to a biozone on one of the previous spots we stopped. But the whole island was interesting. It was the oldest landmass in Malaysia. It was formed by volcanic action, but never an eruption.
Yes,
And so for the geologists out there, we'll add some notes, but it's famous for the peak we went up where magma and all the hot granite pushed up to within a few feet of the surface. And they had
Just
some
kept
fancy
pushing it up.
geologic name for that, an intrusion, I think it was called.
We'll find out, I'm sure.
Yeah, so instead of seeing volcanic, we saw granite. So that was kind of interesting. Okay, that's enough history lesson. There will be a test after this episode.
Exactly. I had gone on, I didn't see any tours from the ship that interest us.
Right.
So I went on Tours by Local, which is a really great website if you're traveling to places that are a little bit more obscure. Or not. But the beauty of this is that you're dealing directly with the tour guide.
Yes. When you book the tour guide contacts you back.
Exactly.
Amy had a number of exchanges with Wendy about what we wanted to do, and she gave us expectations, what to wear.
You know exactly who you're dealing with. You see the itinerary quite clearly.
Yep.
The price was excellent, so I had signed us up for a half-day bird watching tour.
Yes.
Now, we're not bird watchers yet.
It was interesting, I have to admit. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, let's go to a exotic place and let's see what kind of birds they have there. So she traipsed us around. We were in the car a fair more than I thought we would be. I thought we'd be walking through a jungle and
you didn't want to walk up that mountain.
No.
So we stopped regularly to
Yes.
survey for birds.
Yes.
We've already jumped ahead.
Yeah.
Our first stop were the mangroves, the tidal mangrove area.
Our first stop wasn't even on the parking lot.
Barely, yeah. The birds landed on I saw two reed.
Hornbill something.
Yeah.
I'll show a picture of them. Wendy gave us a nice list of all the birds we saw that day.
Yes.
We got pictures of some of them we didn't. Jeff didn't have the right lens with him.
Well, having never gone birding and not having a birding lens, didn't know what to expect. That. No, I have one. I call it a wildlife lens.
Yeah.
But not knowing what we were doing, I didn't want to lug that giant lens and a tripod around.
Exactly.
So.
Now Wendy was all kidding.
Absolutely.
Oh man, she had this hip thing.
That was her binoculars.
And she had
a hip holster for binoculars.
She had something around. What was?
Well, that was her whole harness. So she had her binoculars and all her other personal items in it.
She was all in like green, light to olive green, stealth.
Yes.
She had a cool hat. She looked good.
Yeah, she told us not to wear bright clothes.
Right.
Dull and blend into the background kind of stuff.
So we did.
We did good, except the dull, darker colors really heated you up when we were out in the sun.
It was fine. The car was air conditioned. We were in the car, but so this woman had eagle eyes.
Oh, she had bionic eyes.
Yeah.
She would look up in the sky and see what looked to me like a spot. And she would call out what the bird was and get her binoculars out and go, yep, that's what it is.
Yep. And then she had this scope that was
scope.
So cool. It was on a huge tripod, and she would put it on there. I thought she was carrying a camera. I didn't realize. And then she set it up, and she dialed it in. She said, okay, here's this kingfisher. Come look in the scope. Oh, my God.
He's right there in front of you.
Crisp and clear, and just, he's 50 feet away, but I could see him crystal clear. And she could take my phone and take a picture of the bird right through the scope, which was really cool.
Yeah, it was still kind of fuzzy.
It was. But it was
kind
really
of neat.
cool.
Yes.
She
so Amy wants some new toys for Christmas.
I want a scope.
She wants a scope.
I'm going to become a birder. She was kind of pleased with us being novice birders because she says sometimes she gets people that only want to see one particular kind of bird.
And she has to hunt everywhere to try to satisfy. So, birders out there must keep a list of, things they've got to capture. And we were just having fun.
Everything she saw, she'd show us. And we went down by a riverbank. We saw the kingfishers. We saw mud skippers.
Mud skippers were fun. I got a picture of those.
Not a bird.
It's
They're
not a bird.
bird.
It's a fish that can walk on land for up to 15, 20 minutes.
Incredible.
And at low tide, they suck up the mud to extract the plankton from
Yes.
it, and then from their gills they push the
stuff it out.
rest of the mud out. And they were down there with the little crabs, and they all
Yes.
got along.
Yeah.
Every now and then some of the mud skippers would fight with each other over their little piece of territory.
She said if their fin went up, that was to attract the females.
We saw them up a lot.
She knew a lot.
She was a good
She was
naturalist.
an expert. I bet she's PhD or something.
Don't know.
She kept talking about work, but she never really said, if this, I don't know,
Well,
tourism was her whole gig.
it's one of the things we've been avoiding is asking people what they do for a living.
Right.
Assuming most people are retired, so our new approach has been, what do you do to fill your time?
There you go. Yes.
Just indicating we're assuming you're retired. And what do you do for fun? So very rarely has anybody ever asked us about what we did for our jobs.
Yeah, because it's so boring.
I know, it is. And since we're not working, it's really immaterial.
Except to my colleagues who were watching, I loved every minute I worked there. So,
Okay.
contrary to what my
I
husband
forgot
might
about
think.
that. All right.
Don't pay any attention to the complaining I did. But
Oh, you never complained about work.
I did.
No.
Yes, I
If
did.
you did, it was very rare. It was
Oh.
probably a phone call you had to answer from somebody that knew you from 20 years ago and needed help.
Oh no, I never mind that. I never mind that.
So, yeah, the scope. Now, on this trip, we did see some dusty leaf monkeys
Yes.
in the wild. Well, all of them were in the wild. But we also saw macaques, a lot of them. Those are the real aggressive ones. They would get in the middle of the road and stare us down as we're driving towards them. And when you got really close to them, they'd jump off to the side of the road. And then they would get on the guardrail and stare at you in the window.
And we had to have our windows up because Wendy said they would jump in the car.
They would jump in the car. Yeah.
I
That
can
would be
only
a
imagine.
handful.
No, thanks.
Could you imagine a wild
God.
monkey? Ugh.
I should have got that rabies shot. I know we're not going to get close to animals. We don't need rabies.
So we got some nice, sweet little pictures
Yes.
of a mama and her little baby monkey.
Even though they were macaques.
Yeah, but they weren't aggressive. It's the males.
The way she talked about it was like they were pests.
Yeah.
Those macaques.
So
Yes.
not only was Wendy a birdist, but she was also a kind person.
I think
And-
she was Buddhist, honestly.
Yeah. So the mountain we were on, apparently people go there and dump their dogs or puppies, things they don't want. So the whole time you're going up the mountain, there's all these little happy dogs coming out looking at us. I'm like, that's odd. She says, do you mind if I stop? She runs around to the back of the car, opens her trunk, and she has dog food ready to serve these masses of dogs. And we must have stopped 10, 15 times to feed the puppies along
She
the
knew
way.
them all.
Yeah.
This one's the mother of these. This one's this years old. This one's shy.
Yeah.
She knew them all. She said there were other people that did it too, but
We saw one car,
Uh-huh.
rare bit of traffic on the mountain.
yeah, she said he's feeding them too.
He's feeding them too. So,
Yeah, and she was in a rental car, so it wasn't as if they were recognizing the car.
no, I think they're used to seeing cars that are going slow.
Oh, I
and the
suppose.
second she jumps out, it's like
Yeah.
recognition.
Yeah.
And,
She said she rented a car because she said, I have to make sure I get you back.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep you.
So if the rental car breaks down, they have an emergency number to call.
Right.
Whereas if it's a personal car, you're kind of
Yay.
But she had all her kit
Huh.
organized in little bins, so she was able to get her scope. She had
What
a
a pro.
pair of binoculars for Amy.
Yes.
We
yes.
had our little ones we got at REI, which
Mhm.
worked
Worked
pretty
great.
well,
Yeah.
but not as good as yours. But we knew we didn't want a big pair like that.
Right, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if you're really going to bird, you'd need something like that.
But we did, we were pretty prolific in our bird sightings
Yes.
by the riverbank. And then we went,
To the forest, the tropical forest.
and we didn't see a lot up there.
It was hard seeing them. You could see them flying,
Yeah,
but the forest was so dense on this island
right.
that, they would disappear into the trees and you could not spot them.
Yeah.
The canopy was so thick.
Plus, it was getting to be more in the heat of the day, so
Yeah.
the animals aren't going to be as active. I don't know, those little myna birds. We saw four. Found four of them. They couldn't have been this big.
Yeah.
They were 100 feet away. And she
No,
heard
she had
them.
bionic. Well, yeah, she could hear the calls.
And then she could find them with her
Zero in.
binoculars.
Yeah.
She's a pro.
Why don't you give us some examples of what we saw?
Oh, I got a list.
She has a list. If you can imagine Amy, she has a list.
Wendy sent me the list, as a matter of fact, but I
Ah.
was keeping track.
Okay.
So we saw an Oriental pied hornbill.
Yep, that was the one with the split tail, the V-shaped tail.
No, this
No?
was the one we saw in the parking lot before
Oh.
we even left,
Okay.
which was quite the sight. They looked a little bit like a toucan.
Yeah, they had a bill like that.
It was a
shape.
pair, and they were big.
Yes.
I mean, this was, it was just incredible that we're getting in the car and she's backed
Already-
out and she went,
And
stop.
she hits the brakes.
She says,
Look, right there.
get out of the car slowly. We saw a white-bellied sea eagle, a red-wattled lapwing. Now, the one with the tail was a greater racket-tailed drongo.
Drongo.
He had a cool tail. I'll look him up on the internet. The white-throated kingfisher, that's the one I have a picture of. The egret, you took pictures with your real camera
Yeah.
with that one.
I might have a shot or two of that guy. It's
Exactly.
a cool little silhouette.
The hill minas, which
Yeah.
they look like mina birds you'd always seen. You
So
know.
we saw 15 different bird varieties.
Oh, 19.
Well, 19. I'm
19.
Sorry, 19. And multiple types within those 19.
Exactly.
Multiple sightings.
So yes, we came down off the mountain. Then she took us to a rice paddy that was all dried up, and it had cows on it. Who knew?
Who knew how many birds hung around?
It looked like there was nothing there, and we started looking. Oh my God, there must have been 20 birds in that
I know.
field with them.
5 or 6 different
Kinds.
kinds.
Yes.
You know, I don't know if they're species, but
Yeah.
different kinds of bird. And so each of the cow had a buddy.
A little egret.
Yep, little egret.
But
And
not
these
a
were
white.
orange or
orange heads on them.
orange heads. And they just followed the cow around and just stood there and kept them company. And so there's some affinity between the bird and the cows. She said that, but couldn't explain it in any more detail.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you see cows, you'll see these orange-colored egrets. Yeah.
I know it. People who are from there must think that we're idiots. You know, why are you so excited about seeing this? But
Well,
they're
wait,
just so
we weren't the
unusual.
only nerds out there.
No, there were other birds.
She
out
had a
there.
competitor.
Did you see how she talked to that girl?
Yeah, no, didn't he?
Well, the other couple had a real young girl with us. She
Yes,
20, maybe.
maybe so. Yeah.
She walks by. She goes, "Hi, good morning. How are you? Have you seen anything?" Wendy just kept walking. No, she said, "Yeah, we're looking at the kingfisher here." And Wendy says, "Yeah, we saw it." And then she said, "What else have you seen?" Kept walking. Wasn't going to tell her nothing.
Yeah. Wendy said she used to work for that company before
Yeah.
she started her own.
Yeah, good on her. Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was kind of the day. She drove us back, got us as close as she could, and then she offered to walk us all the way back to the ship to make sure we made it safely.
Oh, for God's sakes.
So we got to the lobby of the Resort World Hotel there and thanked her profusely.
And saw there was a bar there with some tiger. So
Tiger
we're like,
beer.
"Hey, Wendy, we're getting some beer." She says, she looks at it, she goes, "It's free on the ship." And I said, "Well, not really."
So
And we're here.
and we're here.
And we have Malaysian.
And it was cool.
We have some ringgits we gotta burn. So
So she was so wonderful. We gave her a great tip.
Yes.
And then I gave her a second tip. And she goes, "What's this for?" I said, "This is for feeding your puppies."
So
And then we had enough money to get us 2 beers.
Yes.
And that was it. I have $1 to go in my scrapbook. 1 ringgit.
One ringgit, which is
20 cents.
20 cents. Yes. Yeah.
20 cents dollar, or not, a 20 cents bill,
Yeah.
not
yeah.
a coin.
Right. The coins. Ugh.
Yeah, people were I think they just rounded off sometimes.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Well,
She was lovely. If you're ever in Langkawi, even if you don't care about birds, go bird watching with Wendy.
and you might
5
get
stars.
a whole new appreciation for
Absolutely.
what people do that are birders.
I would go again. In fact, we do have another bird watching tour coming up that I arranged through the boat, so it's not going to be as nice because
Probably not.
there'll be a lot
It'll
of
give us a
other
good
people
compare
there.
and contrast.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, the other thing, for those of you out there, it's very easy to come and get a long-term stay visa in Kiwai. Say it again. Langkawi.
I think it was Malaysia altogether.
It was. Okay.
But Langkawi would be where you want to stay.
Yeah. There's
Because the geopark.
the geopark, access to water, beaches. There's only 120,000 people on the island, and there's a healthy community of expats.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very attractive. You just deposit $200,000 in the bank, and you get that back when you leave. I just want to make sure you don't become a ward of the state.
You get a 5-year visa.
A 5-year visa, and you pay no taxes on your rentals, utilities, and stuff while you're living there.
And then you can apply for another 5-year after that.
Yes, you get 5-year increments up to 20 years. When then you have to decide, do you want to get a citizenship or a passport or something? Yeah, it might be a cool place to hang out. The only problem is every day is summer. We are like hugging.
She said 6 degrees above the equator.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty. Yeah,
Pretty
it's
close.
hot. It's hot.
365 days of summer.
Yeah. I'm sure it rains a lot too, because it was a rainforest that we.
Well,
were
we had
in.
rain that morning.
Yes. Yeah,
It's
that's
coming
true.
down pretty good.
That's true.
Which is okay. Rain in
Yeah.
the morning, rain in the evening.
Rain all day long.
There you go. Well, that wraps up Malaysia, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's all we. Yeah, Malaysia.
Yep.
Done.
Yep. Our last 2 tiger bears in Malaysia. And while we were sitting there, I forgot to mention, we 2 people stopped to ask us questions about what we did. And then 2 other people came by and sat down with us and got a beer. And then 2 more people came by and had a beer. And then the last 2.
Our waiter was very excited to be our friend
Yeah.
because we just kept growing exponentially. And yes, he sold a lot of beer that day.
Yeah. And he got a lot of leftover ringgits.
Did he? Good.
Well, I mean, the last ones I had, I just left to the woman that waited on the 2 of us.
Right.
And then Joe did his, and
Yeah.
other people were just, it's the end of the line.
Exactly. Now, the next country we're visiting, we're only in for 2 days.
But it's in Thailand.
Thailand. We're in Phuket.
Phuket.
Yes. Which is what's behind you, actually. A little change of venue here for us. Everybody has already gone into town doing their excursions. We're not on an organized excursion until late this
5:30.
afternoon.
Food tour.
Yeah. We're just kind of laying low. We've had 6 full days
Early.
of excursions and no sea days, and you got to try and fit in doing laundry in there. And,
Oh, that's a good idea. I might see how much laundry we have.
good. Yippee skippy.
It's fun. It's the funnest place on the entire boat is the laundry room. Boy,
So yes, we kind of needed
a break.
a morning off. Yes. So
But I just got a few. I missed my timeline. What time is it?
10 o'clock. What's the matter?
I wanted to go down and wrangle my bill a little bit. There's some discrepancies.
Oh,
But that's
okay.
not for you guys.
Yeah.
You can edit that out.
So yes, we're on deck 5. We've got our deck chairs facing into the ship so that you can see the beautiful water behind us and the island. So yes. So we haven't started our adventures in Phuket yet, but we will.
We will.
Very soon. Yes. Yes.
Goodbye, folks.
Oh, postcard today
Oh, postcard today.
goes to Dorothy in Florida.
Ah.
So yay, Dorothy, who is a plant lover. So
Oh, we had that giant orchid tree.
That's right.
Oh.
I have to.
The nest was as big as a hot tub.
I never see anything like it.
It was crazy.
I said,
looking.
"What is that?" And she said, "That's an orchid." I went, So yes, perfect. So yes, yeah. Let me know what you think about that one, Garth.
We will. Hey, we're on a new record here for time.
Oh gosh. All right. We'll get
Maybe
it.
edit out a few of my comments there at the
Maybe.
end. All right, now we're going to say goodbye.
Yeah, and make sure you keep
Salamat, Rapaji.
make sure you keep the eels out of your hovercraft. So
Exactly. Don't want
words to
eels in
live
the
by.
hovercraft. We should give that quote to the hovercraft people in
Oh,
town.
I think so.
All right.
See you soon.
Wrap it up.
Take care. Goodbye.